just honored to have you all part of my team and part of the ITL family. It gives me an opportunity to do something that I love and actually have some friends. So it's a pretty nice bonus there. We're going to do a lot of fun things tonight. We're going to recognize some people and do a lot of talk and hopefully do a lot of learning. But let's start off with the first reason we got here. The New Orleans Saints had a historically good draft last year, led by their 2 first-round picks, Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State and Ryan Ramczyk out of Wisconsin, as well as rookie sensation Alvin Kamara out of Tennessee. The team improved from 7-9 in 2016 to 11-5 and 2 rounds deep in the playoffs in 2017. Obviously, the players they drafted had a big impact on that, and as a result, our panel selected by 85% vote the New Orleans Saints as the winners of the 2017 Best Draft. Assistant GM Jeff Ireland is here to accept the award for him.
Thank you, Neil. Look, I appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate Neil having me to accept this award. Look, on behalf of the Saints, on behalf of our owner, Mr. Benson, who I think a little shout out to, who's in the hospital, speedy recovery to Mr. B. Our incredible leadership through Sean and Mickey, our coaches, and especially our scouts. Look, scouting is a lot of you guys are wanting to get in this profession. Scouting is not an easy job. It's not just watching a lot of football. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication. I know those are cliches, but every draft is different. Each has its own difficulties. To put it in perspective, there's a lot of collaborative effort that goes into each and every draft, and the hard work and dedication of our scouts, the long days, the short nights out on the road, risking their lives driving, through the mountains and everything. So I really appreciate the scouts. But then again, moving forward and just putting the tag on the board in the right place, and knowing, when you put him up there, that you have a vision for the player, you've evaluated the person, and you have a vision for how he's going to be in the locker room, and not only a vision for the locker room, but a vision how he's going to succeed and have success in our league. So, pretty cool this year to see that come to fruition, to see the person develop, to see the player develop in front of our eyes. That was a really cool event to watch, and obviously we had a great year, and look, we're proud of not only this year, but we're proud of the last 3 drafts. I think we put 16 players, 16 starters on this team in the last 3 drafts, including those college free agents, and that's just the hard work and dedication of not only our college scouts but our pro scouts as well. So, look, I want to say something about Neil. Look, Neil and I have known each other for a couple years now. I was out of football in 2014. That's when we got connected, and I think he's done a tremendous job with Inside the League of bridging the gap between scouts and agents. And look, they are 2 totally different things, and now he's bridging the gap. I think it was something necessary for our league, and so my hat's off to you for your success in this. And I think I see this thing growing. I read your newsletter every time it comes out. I go to the site. I appreciate all the information, hard work you give us. So. I'd like to answer any questions that you guys may have, and so I'm here for a few minutes before I have to go to meetings. So, anybody have some questions?
Well, no, I don't.
All right, right in front.
Yeah, so, I do a lot of radio interviews, and the first thing they always ask is, how much of a percentage do you put on the combine versus the game film? I always say, me personally, I put 90% on the game film. That's your resume. I think it fluctuates from franchise to franchise. It might be 75, it might be 90. How much of it is game film versus to the combine? Are you just checking boxes to verify what you saw, or how much can you move and shake with the combine performance?
Well, not only does it change from franchise to franchise, I think it changes from player to player. Sometimes we put a little bit more stock into the combine for a particular position, and sometimes it's all about the video. So that's not a cop out, but that's the truth. There's some players I want to verify information on, and you always want to watch the tape. That's why we grind for 16-hour days for 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, to get the vision for the player right before we ever see him run, before we ever see him jump. It's just all about football and creating that vision for that player. And then we come here, we want to verify kind of what we see. And does the ability of the player in shorts translate into what we think the player can be, the vision. And so that's really kind of what we try to do from the combine standpoint. And then, for other players, it's seeing something that we haven't seen. Maybe the guy doesn't play that fast, and all of a sudden he comes out and blows out a 40, and we're like, ooh, we got to go back and look at that player again because he just didn't play that fast. So there's a lot of different things that we can collect from the combine. Look, I think the combine, Jeff Foster's done a tremendous job. The committee that puts this thing together does an unbelievable job of, methodically putting things in place for us to learn about the player. And from the interviews, the medical, obviously, number one, and then the skills that you see out on the field. So, yes, sir.
So if a guy shows up, runs a 4.75 on Saturday, and then goes back to his home pro day, runs a 4.55, which number do you guys take as?
Depends on how much you like the player. Depends on how much you like the player. How does he play the game? Then you got to go back to the tape. So again, it differs from every player. Different from every player. Yes, sir, back there.
Can you get some tips for pro day for players? Some tips, like from the age perspective, how to get you guys ready, what you guys are looking for, the guys that aren't here at the combine.
Just get him in shape. Look, again, my philosophy is watch the tape. Watch the tape. When you get into the back end of the draft, you're looking for players that have upside. Tips for pro days: just make sure they've got a good start. That's the biggest thing when you get to a pro day and the guy doesn't know how to start. Make sure he knows how to start. Make sure he's done some football drills, because sometimes the 40 is one thing, then they're not in shape to run, get through a workout. So make sure they're in shape and doing football stuff. And you're preparing for your pro day, but after that pro day is over, you're preparing for OTAs and mini camps. That's another big mistake that players make, is that they just get themselves in shape for the pro day. And then we get them in camp and they pull a hamstring or they get dehydrated really quick, and then we gotta bust them out. So get them ready to play football. That's what you're really training for.
What changes have you made over the past few years that help you guys have this historic draft class?
Really, we haven't changed a whole lot. I've been here 3 years, so I just kind of came in and kind of put my philosophy in place with the help of obviously Mickey and Sean and their blueprint, and just kind of followed their suit too. So we haven't really done a whole lot different. Look, the draft is a 50-50 proposition, and Parcells always told me, over your career, if you're 50%, you're going to the Hall of Fame. This year we were just right more than we were wrong. Look, we believe in our process. We believe in the protocols that we put in place. We believe in pretty much everything that we're doing right now, and that gives us a lot of confidence to ask for more. And I've asked more from my coaches here at the combine. I've asked more from my scouts, and that gives them confidence that, okay, if Jeff's asking for it, then we got to give it to him. And so that's been nothing really different. We just kind of followed the blueprint that we put in place, 2 or 3 years ago. Yes, ma'am.
If you're representing an undrafted free agent that you think might be convertible to a different position, how do you sell that to it? Because you can't look at the tape and see what they're going to do in their new position. What kinds of things or information would you want to know about the player in that regard?
I think we'll kind of go back to scouting 101. Okay, does he look like a football player? Does he look like the position that he's going to play? So it's a projection. Okay, so to project him to a different position, he needs to look like that position. That's the scouting 101. I want him to look like that position, that positional player, look like other players that play that position in our league. Okay, number one. And does his athletic skill set translate to other players that play that position in the National Football League? So those are the first two things. And then does he have the mental capacity to handle that position like other players in the National Football League? So those are the first three things that I would make sure before you change the position. Most commonly positioned the linebacker to the fullback. Usually linebackers are pretty smart. Fullbacks a position of high mental intelligence, regardless of what people think. They're not just battering rams. You've got to have a high intellect to play fullback, at least for us. So those are the first three things. Yes, sir, in front.
This year, probably your first chance for your medical staff to get there at combine. Each team's a little different, but how much emphasis do you guys put on the information you grab from your medical staff?
A ton. Like I'll know a lot about a medical for a player all through the season, but I don't make any changes to that grade until I get the actual medical. When we sit down and we go over these players, because I don't want that to ever come into the grade until it's time to put the card up on the board for draft day. So, but we have to listen to our doctors. We're not doctors. I'm not certainly a doctor, and there's a million exceptions for players that have injuries in this league. You know, the medical community does a phenomenal job of getting players back on the field. Our doctors, we have some new doctors. My doctor just told me this year. The last time he was here was 9 years ago. He goes and then he goes through the gauntlet of the medical stuff, and he said, "Man, either the doctors have gotten better, or the players are taking better care of themselves, and it's probably a combination of both because they're not as beat up as they were 9 years ago." So we're obviously doing a pretty good job of getting them back on the field.
2 more questions.
Back there and back.
Yeah, a lot of teams have a pretty hard line for height, weight, and positions nowadays. Obviously, you guys did the best this past year, so would you say you're pretty flexible with your line, or you kind of draw a hard line with each position?
Between just offensive line or any position?
In general, it seems like
Just drawing a line with
Well, I'm a firm believer in prototype. So we have a minimum standard for every position, a minimum standard for arm length, hand size, height, weight, and so we type them. And so when the guy's underweight, we type him. The guy's ideal, we type him. When he's short, we type him. When he's lacking height, weight, we type him somewhere different. And so, but again, there's tons of exceptions, and I'll give you one. Running back, try to type that one. There's a million exceptions to that position. It's hard. Offensive lineman, I'm going to play pretty firm on offensive lineman, defensive lineman. So, right here.
How do you avoid missing out on the Tom Brady's or the Sherman's block?
Whew, tough question. So that wasn't the last one before that? Now you just got to do your homework. You got to watch the tape. You know, I think you just don't take things for granted. You know, I think that look, we've all made mistakes in this business, at least the people that sit in my seat. We've all made mistakes by, listening to other people and kind of taking their, we call it scout talk, just taking their what they think they say, what you hear, and not actually doing the homework. Doing the homework and is how you avoid those mistakes. And obviously, New England did their homework, and they saw, they saw something. So you got to do your homework. You got to put your work in this business. Whether you're an agent or a scout, and if you're not working, you're going to be left behind. That's just the name of the game. So we get up early. We have a lot of long days and short nights in this business. So if you're trying to get in this business, be ready. It's not for everybody, but be ready to work. So.
Thank you.